What do we got going on?
We got a melon.
You got a melon?
Sucker weighs a ton. Boys, it's time to test some broadheads on the oldie melon. Okay, don't fall. Steady. Got him. This is gonna keep the melon from rolling off after we shoot him.
That's a quality melon.
Guys, welcome back to the channel. This is gonna be our first ever broadhead test. I'm pretty excited about it. I have here in my hand my favorite expandable broadhead. So I have shot this broadhead basically for 9 years, and over those 9 years I've shot 15 deer with this broadhead or variations of this same brand, and out of 15 I have lost 1. The rage in hunting nowadays has been heavier arrows and single bevel broadhead. So when I found out my favorite bowstring company, America's Best Bowstring, had recently purchased a broadhead company and were making single bevels, I went ahead and picked myself up a pack of Helix. Like I said, they're made by America's Best Bowstring.
They're out of Ohio, right?
Yeah, they're currently out of Ohio.
Represent.
Gotta represent, okay? And so I went ahead and picked up a pack of these. These things are pretty sweet. Let me pop one out of the package. These are also 150 grain. This is 150 grain Grim Reaper, 1.5 inch, which is what I like. These are 150 grain, and I think they're an inch and 5/16. So definitely smaller. I have one right here. This has been my practice head, so I've been shooting it for a little bit now. And a couple things I really like about it and the design they went with like a fighter jet design. And I think this style of broadhead's been around a while. But from what I've seen shooting out of my bow, it seems to be quite accurate. I was pretty impressed with it. So we're gonna pair these head to head. Like I said, this is my favorite expandable broadhead, and we're gonna be shooting it against this Helix single bevel. We're gonna see how it compares.
We're gonna see what kind of damage they do.
We're gonna see what kind of damage it does. Something that has kind of bugged me over watching some broadhead reviews is people will take let's say a light arrow with an expandable, which is what a lot of guys shoot, and then they'll pair it up against a single bevel that has high FOC with a heavy arrow. And like obviously this is gonna outperform the expandable, but for today we're gonna use the exact same arrow. This arrow weighs just in over 500 grains. I've got 200 grains up front, so it's got pretty high FOC. It's definitely not too crazy, but it's definitely a heavier arrow than what I have been shooting. So we're gonna see how these compare in the melon. So this is our melon setup here. We've got some thick leather on the front.
Double stacked?
Got double stacked melon. And then I've got this target. This is basically a brand new target. I've only had it a month or two now, and I've never shot the bottom of it here. So if the broadhead does go in, it should be a pretty consistent medium. Medium? What's that called?
Medium.
Medium for broadhead. So
let's get after it.
Let's get after it. Ready, Brent?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready, Brent?
I'm ready.
Oof. Oof. Buried the arrow. We're gonna do a side-by-side comparison. I've got the Helix on now. I'm gonna try to put this just to the right of that one. I'll get this. Are we good?
You're good.
This makes no sense to me right now.
Whoa! Uh-oh.
Literally makes no sense to me. Everything is a lie. Everything's a lie. This is our single bevel. Obviously, we have fletching sticking out. Okay, single bevel is rotating. That's big. That's good news.
Big.
But the Grim Reaper
It's farther.
is farther. And it's been, look, we have been doing multiple tests here.
This is a consistent outcome.
And the consistent outcome is the Grim Reaper is beating
By a decent amount.
by a good amount. All right, so we pulled the target off and I held the arrows so they didn't move, but this is the result. Grim Reaper, I mean a good.
Fished with.
I mean, I don't know if it's like, it's kind of a big deal.
Hey. Yeah, man.
You're really passionate about this subject, aren't you?
Well, I'll be honest, I don't really care much. I just want to see melons get shot up.
We're seeing it.
We're seeing some carnage.
We're seeing some carnage.
I don't hunt much, so. I don't hunt a lot. One thing the single bevel is going to be good for is
Ooh.
carving up the melon here.
Not bad. It's a good melon.
Let's go melon.
That's a quality melon.
Guys, we're at test number 2, and test number 1 in the melon was a bit shocking. We saw the Grim Reaper outperform the single bevel, which really blew my mind because it's smaller cutting diameter, and from everything I've seen on YouTube and heard, is that this should outperform the Grim Reaper. But, however, we're gonna do another test, and we're gonna try to simulate some bone. And this is really where the single bevels have their strength, is the fact that they have the ability to go through bone and go through bone better than expandables, from what I understand.
We'll see if that's true.
We're gonna see if that's true. Check out what I made. Okay guys, so this is our new target for this. As you can see, we've got 6 inches of styrofoam insulation. So it's a really consistent medium for the target. And then here we've got, I believe it's 1/8 inch and an 1/8 inch. We've got a 1/4 inch of plywood. And that's gonna simulate
2 layers right here?
2 layers. That's gonna simulate some bone in a whitetail's body. I'm not entirely sure what.
Yep.
Maybe like a scapula or something like that.
This is gonna be more consistent than Melon's too.
Yeah. So we're gonna stack them in here. I'm gonna shoot a Grim Reaper and then a single bevel, and we're gonna see which one outperforms the other.
All right, so which is this?
This is the Helix.
Single bevel.
2 layers, plywood, and 6 inches of foam.
That hit hard.
Okay.
Set her back up.
Okay. This is 150 grain, 1.5 inch Grim Reaper. Okay. I don't know why this is happening. This doesn't make sense in my brain.
But it's happening. So this is a single bevel right here. And as you can see, the Grim Reaper has outclassed it once again. Not by much.
Not by much, but it's a significantly bigger broadhead. So we're gonna look at this. Obviously you can see the Grim Reaper's not an 1.5 inch cutting diameter yet. So
It's opening.
Let's pull this plywood back and take a look at it. I can attest to Grim Reaper's opening on whitetails. I've shot a lot of whitetails with this broadhead, and they do open. So let's pull this back. So here's my Helix, here's my Grim Reaper. You can see it's opening, and by the second piece, it's not quite fully to opening capacity, but almost. And then you can see here, as it exits here, it's basically at full cutting capacity here. So it opened up pretty quick and outperformed the Helix. I'm gonna do one more test. The first time I shot the Helix, I noticed the target kicked a lot, so maybe I didn't have it solid here. So we're gonna do one more test.
See what happens.
And then I'm gonna call it. All right guys, we're gonna do the Helix again. And for those of you who are wondering, my bevel is matched with my fletchings. So my helical and my fletching matches my bevel, so they're not fighting each other going in. Now here goes single bevel.
We are ready to roll. High speed is rolling.
Blasted into the target. Looks like the target didn't move, which is good. All right, and now we're gonna do the Grim Reaper. Okay, let's check out some of these results.
No harm, no foul.
So this is the Grim Reaper, and as you can see, we beat the single bevel by about 1 inch. It's not a lot, but remember, the Grim Reaper is substantially bigger than the single bevel. Here's the entry holes. Obviously got cut in contact, 1 5/16 inches. The Grim Reaper takes a little bit to open up. So you can see the Grim Reaper starting to open up here.
On the first piece?
On the first piece, the second piece, it's opening up more. And by the second, it's basically at full cutting capacity into the foam here. You can see 2 of the blades are open, one's still opening. Obviously this is a whitetail, you'd have some hide and flesh before you impacted shoulder bone. But
that's pretty definitive, I guess.
Pretty definitive. And we also beat with the Grim Reaper hitting the leg of the chair. Come here, check this out. The Grim Reaper actually hit the chair here, look.
And still beat
still beat.
Oh yeah, look, just a little bit.
Barely, but it did hit. And we should also mention, we've done this test a couple times now, just trying to get the filming right and everything.
Yep.
And the Grim Reaper has not broken. Well, let's take a look at it real quick. We've got 3 blades. I can still feel edge. Looks pretty nice. Okay, so this is pretty odd, and I've said it once before and I say it again. I still think the single bevel is way more durable than an expandable, but obviously Grim Reapers are pretty stinking tough. I love them, that's why I shoot them. Let's look at these cutting diameter differences. With 2 blades of the Grim Reaper, it is basically the exact same cutting diameter of the single bevel, and then we have an extra 3rd blade. And we're getting
better penetration
with this, which is just really odd. So something's going on with the single bevel technology, with the way it's going in and rotating, I think is really killing penetration. All right, so before I end this video, I want to address a couple things that I'm sure I'm going to get some comments about in the comment section below. Number one, my testing's not the most scientific. Obviously, I'm shooting styrofoam, plywood, and Melon. It's not a great deer analog. It's what I had laying around. I wanted to do a video about it. The second thing is why the single bevel and why do people shoot them? The two main reasons that I understand people shoot the single bevel, one is obviously it rotates through the animal, and with it being a two blade, that's a good thing. It helps cut as it goes through the animal, opening up that wound channel with it rotating and stuff. The second thing is, and maybe the main thing is, when hitting bone, people say that it mechanically forces bone open and helps the arrow penetrate through scapula and shoulder or rib or whatever. And that's why people shoot these. In this foam test, you'll notice this single bevel, it wants to rotate, and for it to be the most effective, it needs to be able to rotate. Otherwise, it creates a ton of drag. And shooting into the foam in the high speed, I noticed that it really didn't rotate very much. And I think that's why it greatly reduced its penetration when it was going through the plywood and into the foam. And I think that's why the Grim Reaper actually edged it out a little bit. The second thing is, had we switched up some materials, I could definitely see this Broadhead performing better than it did in my tests. I could see it, maybe coming to the same penetration as a Grim Reaper, or maybe even beating it by a little bit. But the thing is that I want to bring out is, this Broadhead's a 2-blade, 1 5/16" single bevel Broadhead. My Grim Reaper is an 1.5" 3-blade. It's got a lot of surface area. And as it goes into that target, I would really expect this Broadhead to beat. And my hypothesis as to why this isn't beating is because it's a single bevel. Because it's wanting to rotate, maybe it's causing a lot of friction, and it's actually killing penetration. But I would love to see some other channels test this out. Channels like Blue Collar Outdoors, or maybe the Hunting Public. Some of these guys who have maybe more experience shooting these and testing Broadheads, maybe they could do a test where they take a single bevel and then take a double bevel and shoot them side by side with similar cutting diameters to see which one outperforms the other. That's what I wanted to say. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Deer season's coming up. We got more content coming. I thoroughly enjoyed making this. Bye.